What once sounded like a fairy tale has become yesterday's nightmare. The frogs are gone. Their worlds are silent. Their cities stand empty, but they left a warning. The Voidborn are real. They whisper in the darkness. They wait behind the stars. They turn minds against themselves. Cliff Alistair McLean is a legend. His grandson commands the Orion XX, a new ship, a new crew, a new mission. The Voidborn are still out there, patiently waiting. Let us accompany the Orion XX and her crew on their patrol service on the edge of infinity.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, ignition! Between the stars we ride, Orion 20 on the edge of the tide. Faster than light, we cut through the black, carrying fire on our backs. The frogs have gone, their signal is dead, but something ancient woke instead. Whispers from the void, cold and vast, we chase the future into the past. Orion 20.
Act 2, The Voidborn Stir. The frog ship was silent now. The bodies of its crew had been left where they fell, preserved by the cold and the toxic atmosphere that had been their home. The data had been downloaded, every log, every recording, every fragment of a story that had been waiting a century to be told. Back on the Orion 20, Kaya Jagelovsk worked through the night. The frog script swam before her eyes, the symbols shifting, resolving, revealing meaning. She had studied this language for years, had memorized its patterns, its rhythms, its strange tripartite structure. But this was different. This was not a technical manual or a navigation log. This was a record of terror. She found the first entry hours into her translation. It was not written by a soldier or a commander. It was written by a scientist, a biologist, perhaps, or a physicist. Someone who had seen something that should not exist and had tried to make sense of it. We have encountered a phenomenon in the outer reaches of our home system. It does not register on our instruments as a ship or a living being. It is more like a disturbance, a ripple in the fabric of space, but it moves, it thinks, it hungers. Kaya set down her stylus and rubbed her eyes. She had been working for 12 hours. Her head ached. Her vision blurred, but she could not stop. The frogs had been running from something. Now she knew what. Torben found her in the briefing room at dawn, slumped over the console, her face pale, her eyes red. She had not slept. She had not eaten. She had only worked. Kaya. She looked up. Her voice was hoarse. They tried to fight it. What? The Voidborn, the frogs tried to fight it. She tapped the screen, bringing up a series of images, schematics, battle plans, tactical analyses. They sent ships. They sent weapons. They sent their best soldiers. Nothing worked. Torben sat down across from her. Show me. The logs described the first battle in chilling detail. A frog fleet had been dispatched to the edge of their home system, where the disturbance had been detected. 20 ships, fully armed, crewed by veterans of a dozen smaller conflicts. They had expected an enemy they could see, could target, could destroy. They found nothing. The disturbance was there, they could feel it, a pressure in the air, a vibration in their bones, but it had no form, no shape, no location they could lock onto. Their weapons passed through it. Their shields did nothing. Their ships were not damaged, they were simply invaded. The first sign was the whispers the log read. They came from inside our own heads, not words, not sounds, but intentions, hunger, cold, a desire to consume not our bodies but our minds. The crew began to turn on each other, not with weapons but with suspicion. Paranoia spread through the fleet like a plague. Officers accused each other of being compromised. Orders were countermanded. Ships drifted apart. Then the fighting started, not against the Voidborn, against themselves. We did not lose because we were weaker, the scientist wrote. We lost because the Voidborn did not need to fight us. It only needed to make us fight each other. Kaya looked at Torben. The frogs destroyed their own fleet, not the Voidborn, the frogs. Torben was silent for a long moment. And the homeworld. Kaya brought up another log. This one was shorter, more desperate, the handwriting jagged, broken. We have decided the planet will be destroyed, not by the Voidborn, by us. It is the only way to starve it. If there are no minds to consume, it cannot grow, it cannot spread. We will burn our world to save the galaxy. May whatever comes after forgive us. The translation was finished by the end of the second day. Kaya had not slept. Torben had not left her side. The crew moved quietly around them, sensing that something had changed, that the mission was no longer about a signal or a mystery. It was about survival. Kaya stood at the main console on the bridge, her hands trembling, her voice steady. She read the summary of the frog logs to the assembled crew. The frogs were not invaders. They were refugees. They came to human space fleeing the Voidborn, a force that does not attack with ships or weapons but with infection. It enters the mind. It turns allies against each other. It feeds on fear, on paranoia, on the breakdown of trust. She paused, looking at the faces of the crew, young, eager, untested. The frogs destroyed their own homeworld to starve the Voidborn. They destroyed their own fleet when the Voidborn turned them against each other. They ran across the galaxy, searching for a place to hide, and they found Earth. They tried to warn us. We did not listen. Commander Rolf stepped forward. And now, the Voidborn are still out there. The logs do not say, but the signal, the one we followed, was not a warning, it was a plea. The frogs were asking for help, someone to fight what they could not. Rolf's face was grim, and we answered. Torben turned to the helm, set a course for the edge of the system, full speed. Sorry. The signal is not just coming from this system, it is coming from beyond. The Voidborn are not here, but they are coming. We need to warn Earth. The Orion XX turned away from the asteroid belt and accelerated toward the edge of the system. Behind them, the frog ship drifted in its tomb, silent, empty, its message delivered. Ahead, the void stretched on, dark and cold and full of whispers. The first sign that something was wrong came 3 hours into the journey. Kaya was at her station, monitoring the ship's systems when the console flickered. She tapped it. It flickered again. Then the lights on the bridge dimmed, brightened, dimmed again. Power fluctuation, she said. All sectors. Torben frowned. Report. Nothing on the diagnostics. The systems are stable. It's like something is interfering. The whispers started then. soft at first like wind through distant trees, then louder like voices in a crowded room, then urgent like a command, "Turn back." Kaya looked at Torben. "Did you hear that?" "I heard it." The helmsman gasped. "Sir, the controls are not responding. The ship is turning." Torben moved to the helm, his hands gripping the back of the chair. "Override." "I'm trying, sir. It's not working. Something is overriding us." The whispers grew louder. "Turn back, turn back, turn back." Torben's jaw tightened. "Full manual override, cut the autopilot, cut the navigation computers, cut everything." The helmsman's fingers flew across the console. "Done, sir, the ship is responding, but the whispers." "I know." The voices faded, the lights stabilized. The Orion 20 continued on its course, but no one spoke. No one moved. They had heard what the frogs had heard. They had felt what the frogs had felt. And they knew that the Voidborn were not a distant threat. They were already here. The second attack came hours later when the crew was at rest. Torben was in his quarters, staring at the ceiling when the whispers returned. This time they were not commands. They were memories. He saw his grandfather's face. Cliff Alistair McLean, the hero, the legend, the man who had disobeyed orders and saved humanity. He saw him standing on the bridge of the old Orion, his hands on the command chair, his eyes fixed on the stars. "You carry my name," the vision said. "You carry my legacy, but you are not me. You never will be." Torben sat up, his heart pounding. "This is not real." "It is real. It is what you fear. It is what you hide from yourself." "I am not hiding." "You are hiding from the truth. The frogs were not the enemy. The Voidborn were not the enemy. The enemy is within. The enemy is fear. The enemy is what you become when you are afraid." The vision faded. Torben was alone in the dark. Across the ship, other crew members experienced similar visions. Kaya saw her grandmother, Tamara Jajelovsk, the GSD officer who had watched over Cliff McLean. She saw her standing in a shadowy corridor, her face pale, her eyes wide. "The GSD was dissolved because we failed," the vision said. "We failed to see the truth. We failed to protect Earth. You will fail too." Kaya woke screaming. Rolf saw his wife, dead for 20 years, standing at the foot of his bed. She did not speak. She only looked at him with empty eyes. He did not scream. He did not move. He simply stared back, and after a long moment she faded. The whispers stopped. The ship was silent. The briefing room was crowded when Torben called the meeting. Every crew member had experienced something. Some had seen loved ones. Some had seen enemies. Some had seen themselves, older, broken, alone. "It's the Voidborn," Kaya said. "The frogs described this. The whispers, the visions, the paranoia, it's how they break you. Not with violence, with fear." Torben looked around the room. "How do we fight it?" Kaya shook her head. "The frogs didn't know. They tried everything. Shields, weapons, isolation, nothing worked. The Voidborn don't attack the body, they attack the mind." Rolf stepped forward. "Then we fight with our minds." Torben turned to him. "What do you mean?" "I've been thinking about the frogs' logs. The Voidborn feed on fear, on paranoia, on the breakdown of trust. What if we don't break? What if we stay together? What if we refuse to be afraid?" Kaya nodded slowly. "The frogs were alone. They had no one to turn to, but we have each other." Torben looked at his crew, young, scared, but still together. "Then we stay together. No one goes anywhere alone. No one keeps secrets. We share everything, our fears, our doubts, our visions. The Voidborn cannot break us if we refuse to break." The third attack came when the Orion 20 was at the edge of the system, preparing to jump to faster-than-light travel. The whispers returned, louder than before, more urgent. You cannot escape. We are everywhere. We are in your minds. We are in your hearts. You will never be free. The crew gathered on the bridge, standing shoulder to shoulder, their hands clasped. They did not speak. They did not need to. They were together. Kaya closed her eyes and focused on the frog's logs. She remembered the scientist's words. The Voidborn cannot be fought. They can only be endured. She opened her eyes. We endure. The whispers grew louder, angrier. You will break. We will not. You will turn on each other. We will not. You will die. We will live. The whispers faded, the lights stabilized, the ship's controls responded. Torben turned to the helm. Jump. The Orion 20 leaped into faster than light, the stars stretching into lines, the system falling away behind them. The whispers were gone. The visions were gone, but the fear remained. Torben found Kaya in the briefing room hours later, staring at the frog logs. She had not slept. She had not eaten. She was still working. Kaya. She looked up. Her eyes were red, her face pale. The frogs destroyed their homeworld. They destroyed their fleet. They ran across the galaxy, and still the Voidborn followed. We are not the frogs. We are not, but we are not ready. We don't know how to fight them. We don't know how to stop them. We only know how to endure. Torben sat down across from her. Then we endure, and we learn, and we prepare. Kaya looked at him. What if enduring is not enough? Torben was silent for a long moment. Then we find a way. That's what my grandfather did. He found a way. Kaya smiled. It was a thin smile, tired, but it was there. You are not your grandfather. No, I am not, but I am his grandson, and I will not fail. The Orion 20 continued its journey toward Earth, its crew shaken but unbroken. The Voidborn had been encountered. The frog's warning had been understood, and a new mission had begun. Not to fight, not to conquer, but to endure, and to find a way to win.